Hello and welcome back to the Find Your Path YouTube channel and podcast. I'm super excited today to share with you an interview I just had with the base director here at our internship that we're doing at the Mission Orphanage and School. And it's with a lady, she's the base director for this place. Her name is Karina Rocha. And she talks about her story a little bit, some advice, like if you are unsure about your path and what to do or what you want to be when you grow up, or what God may be calling you to do. She shares some really incredible advice from her own experience with God, and she shares some neat stories. I think you're just gonna love how inspiring she is. Every time I hear her speak, I feel really inspired. I feel like she's talking directly to me. She's just got this incredible gift to do that. She speaks at the devotional here once a week, and she sometimes speaks at church, and she just has really beautiful spirit about her, as you will see. Last time I heard her speak, I've just share this really quick before I start the interview, but she was talking about the chapters in Isaiah, chapter 6, verses 1 through 8, and she just, the way she speaks, she just makes everything really entertaining. So I wish I could do it justice. I wish I had recorded it, but she talks about how Isaiah was feeling unworthy. He's in the temple by himself, with God, because only one person is allowed in the Holy of Holies, and he sees this incredible vision of this angel with 6 wings and all these different things, and then he feels like, I am undone. I'm a man of unclean lips. I can't do this. I'm not worthy. And this angel takes a coal and puts it on his mouth, and then he says, you're clean. And then she said it this way. Jesus asked kind of a ridiculous question, how she put it. She said, whom shall I send? And he was looking around. It was just him and God. And Isaiah's like, who are you talking about? And then he's like, oh, here am I, send me. I'll go, I'll do this. And Isaiah was called. And she mentioned how we often, we'll see an injustice in the world, and we will say, someone should do something about that. Maybe we pray about it, and it's us and God, we're praying to him. And he's like, who should I send? You're the one praying about this. And you're here. And we have the option of saying, here am I, send me. I want to do something about this injustice I see. And so I love that. I love that idea of when we're pricked with something, when something seems unfair to us, like we can go to God and pray, and we can be the kind of people that are willing to say, here am I, send me, God. I will go and do what I can, give my little bit, and watch you make miracles with it. So I love that truth. I think it's important for us to think about. And the things that she'll share in this video go along with that. She lives that principle so well. So here is the interview that I had with Karina.
My name is Karina Rocha, and I came to the mission in 1990. It was an orphanage back then, and my mom needed a place for her kids, 5 kids. She was a single mom, was having a hard time working, was sick, and she had cancer. So I think she believed she was dying, and she needed a place for her kids. And through some pastor somewhere in our community, she heard about this new orphanage. And the founder went and picked us up, knocked on our door and picked us up and brought us here. And that's how we got here to the mission. And it was definitely life-changing, yeah. Definitely.
Were you guys some of the first kids that came?
They were starting a brand new house. And so we were some of the original kids, like within the first 6 months. Okay. We were some of the newer families that were coming in. I was about 8 years old, yeah, when they came in.
So when they first got here, they built their house, and then they started another house. They started bringing kids into the other house?
They lived in trailers. That's what they had. They lived in trailers. Started building the orphanage home, which is Casa Amor. That was the first home they started to build. Then they brought the kids, and the founders were actually the house parents there. Yeah, they were the original house parents, and then they started working on. That took about 2 years to complete, and once it was completed, they started building. Alongside with that, they were starting the other home. Oh, wow. So it was like little by little. I think you heard one of our senior leaders talk about. They started the well, and then they started this like generator room where we had a generator. It would turn on at 5 a.m. and be shut down at 10 p.m. Because there was no electricity. Yeah. And so it was like little by little. So the water, the electricity, the homes. So that kind of started, and then it was in 1998, 99, that's when Casa Amor opened up in the summer. And then that's where Pastor Leo, our worship pastor, his family came in, and 6 months later, around April, I came in to the new home, which is right next to the kitchen.
Okay.
That was so within the 6 months, we were some of the original kids that came in.
No, that's neat. How many kids were there in that first 6 months?
I want to say the houses back in the day, they had up to like 20 kids in each house.
Oh, wow.
So they had about 20 in each house almost. So probably a good 30, 35, 40. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it was tight.
Yeah.
It was full of kids, and it was just a little bit different. And since then until now, it was very different. When we came into the orphanage home, but it was by families, so there was one of the hallway was for the girls and one was for the boys. But it was like we came in as a family, so we would like live with each other, and that was the idea.
Yeah.
It works great when it's just your family, but when you have different families and you have teenagers and they're not brothers and sisters,
it can be awkward.
Different situations, and so they switch it from like boys, from family setting to like, okay, let's do boys and girls, and that's worked out a little bit better. And we had parents, we had a couple that was taking care of us, and that's the idea, to have parents, to have a couple, a husband and a wife being there and just modeling family. That was the idea, so that like family settings and like new traumas would be healed up,
Yeah.
And they know now that there's men that are safe,
Yeah, that's so important.
Yeah, so important, and it's important that that it stays that. So to find people that are good and healed and healthy.
Yeah.
Is
that really hard to find then? Is that a big challenge, trying to find couples that want to come out?
Yeah, right. Because couples have families and right, and to have a commitment, but I think at the right time, the right people come, there's our heart would be that every house would have a couple, being the house parents, and not just for a year, but for longevity,
Yeah.
So that's the dream, that's the idea, and so we
just
try to do that.
To go there, yeah.
But the young adults are the ones that are like, hey, before college, I want to give a year to a place to serve, or hey, after college, I want to go serve, which is a great starter.
Yeah.
So that's what, and
what you end up with a lot.
I ended up a lot, and in that, I mean, there's natural people that are like, they have that mom instinct or dad instinct. It comes in right away, and then there's others that don't. But we make it work, and ultimately the people, the team, like myself, we're like the mamas and the dads of the campus. Senior leaders are really the moms and the
more
dads.
stable people that are there all the time. Yeah.
And so. And then people, they know that there's people that come in, and we've been working a lot with that. I think when I was growing up, that was hard to understand. Like, you say you love me, but then you're here with me for 6 months, but then you leave. Like, why would you leave? You love me, and that was hard to understand. But now I think we've created a better language, and just saying like, hey, like, we're so happy, so thankful you're part of our lives for this season. Thank you. We'll see them around in church, or sometimes they stay in campus, and that's really healthy, and it's creating this like culture where there's like moms and dads, and there's also those like uncles and big brothers and sisters, and so it's like it really takes a community. We are really fortunate. Even last night there was I think there was a couple of our staff, some of the young boys, and they took some of the young teenagers to get haircuts because it's their graduation on Friday. And I thought that is so beautiful, that it's not just on the orphanage team, but that there's people willing, they've been their house parents, so they're invested in them, they've created a relationship. And so I think that's so beautiful, that is what it's about. It's about not just the people in the house, but that we as a community would love on them and provide that safety, family, and community. This is how it's done.
Yeah, that is really cool. How long were the founders your house parents before they found other house parents to come?
I believe they were house parents. They were not my house parents because I came into the other home, but they were house parents, I believe, for a good 2 years. Yeah.
Okay.
And they had their 2 kids, biological kids, living with them. So which that was like a great paradigm, right? And then their house was finished up, and then when they opened up their home, some of the some of the original kids were kind of becoming teenagers, so they invited some families to go live up with them. They always had like the teenagers, just because they were growing a little bit more and they wanted to continue that relationship, as family. And so to this day, to us, they're mom and dad. We call them mom and dad.
Yeah.
And so it's just a relationship that was built, And I think something that they did so well, and I think Jim and Gina do so well too, it's just that there's no difference between like my kids, your kids. We were all invited. We were all, included, and saying mom and dad was a choice. I think I was 18, around 18 when I finally could say the words mom and dad. Because it's a scary thing. Like, what if I know I love you, and I you're my mom, but am I gonna be accepted? It's just this fear of orphanhood, really.
Yeah.
And so, but they were so kind and loving. Like, you've always been our kid, You've always been my daughter, and that's just like, oh, thank you. I needed to hear that, And I knew that. I just, just words together, and so that they did really well, really good with that, which is a challenge. It's a challenge to say my kid time, the kids, to make that separation, but they model that so well. Like, no, we're gonna be the house parents. We, God called us here. We're gonna do this. They within the first 6 months, they adopted a family that came into the orphanage. It was 4 kids. I always tell them it could have been my family. We were not adopted legally, we just grew up here, but we just became really close to them as family. But they adopted a family of 4, and I just love that they didn't just say, hey, let's open this place up, but they built it, with their hands. We're the original house parents, we're the people managing the orphanage and growing the ministry, and very hands-on. So that is beautiful, and I think very different from other places. Like they were very, very hands-on. We're still very hands-on, as you see, very hands-on. Yeah. But I'm grateful for that. There's no other way to do it. You have to be, right? Because it's your life investment. It's like what you believe God called you to do, and I think you just have to be there.
Yeah. Yeah, true. That's so cool. And well, that brings me to the next question. With, as you say, this is like our life investment. Is what God called me to do. Like, do you have experiences in your life where you were like this is, I'm noticing that God is calling me in this way, or I'm noticing that I'm kind of hearing Him put me in this path. Like, when did you start kind of noticing the path that you were?
For me, yeah. For me, this place was like a dream come true. Yeah, it was safe. It was like it provided. I didn't have to worry about my siblings are gonna be okay. Is there food can be provided for me? I didn't have to work, or I was starved, So for me, this was like safety and good, and it gave me the space to be a kid and just enjoy the fun things, and not worry about my siblings because they were okay, and to see them every day and everything. And I think I just love the whole idea of just helping in church and just like people overall. Since I was a kid here, there was always a team in groups, and that was fascinating. Who are these people? What are they doing? But they were always happy and singing and working, right? And so I enjoy that a lot. Made a lot of friends, and I think when I was always helping, either translating or playing a guitar, even as a teenager. And I think when I was probably a good 14, the founder, the director at the time, he would be like, hey, I need help. And so he was very like, come on, you're going to be the help, you guys are the helpers. So we would help out with cement. And that was really fun to lead a team, to do cements, from I was a teenager. But it was really fun. It was like, I'm in charge, of something, I'm leading something, and we're doing something together. And we would spend a whole week with the teams and like going to churches and and for me in the summers it was like super fun. Like I just really enjoyed that, and so I always knew that I would be part of this somehow, and I wanted to serve, and I wanted to be to be more part of it. I don't even know, I don't know the words exactly, but I just for me it was my home. It was something I was doing. It was like there's so many foundations in this place that I was a part of. I did cement, I was digging, so it wasn't like just a place. It was like, this is mine, this is also mine.
Yeah, they included you in this work. And this
so it was like because of need, probably they needed help and we were helping. But alongside that, it was just like, no, this is ours too, and so we have a part in it. And there was no question, there was not really a moment of like, this is gonna be my forever home. It was just like, no, this is home. Like, like there's a problem, we're gonna face it together, and we're gonna help out. There's a group here. Hey, we need to cover some water, or when there's group season, we're gonna go out and trailer every night, or I'm the translator for sure. I worship leader. What it was just, this is what we're doing. This is I think something that when we were at the table eating. The founders, the directors, they would say things like, hey, we're going to go to this new community and we're going to build a church. And it was that wording, like, we are going to build a church. And there was no question who was going to do that. It was, if you're in this table, like, this is what we're doing for the next 6 months, or a year. And it was like, okay, no, we're going to go out, we're going to do cement, we're going to buy land, we're going to get the wood in. I already started planning the things that my role was going to be, and so because it was included in the table, this is where we're heading, we're gonna buy a projector and we're gonna shoot a movie in the trailer and people are gonna come to know Jesus. I was like, oh, okay, what movie are we gonna watch, and so it was just kind of, I don't know, for me it was like there was no audible voice. It was just, no, this is the knowing of like, I belong here. This is what I want to do. I think when I was 18, I knew I wanted to stay, because I have the option of leaving and go do something else. But for me, it was like, no, this is home now. Like it was always my home, but there's something about, I want to serve here and I want to be I just want to serve. Yeah. My heart, my intention was always, I just want to serve. Yeah. And I don't know what that means, but how that's going to look, I'm here. Yeah. I want to be available. So to me, it was very hands-on, very whatever, taking somebody to the doctor, talking to a kid, relieving a house, doing admin work.
You just did everything, wherever you were needed.
I was available.
Yeah.
I think that's the best word. I was available, and I think that has kept me here for long season, saying like, I'm available.
Yeah.
I will make myself available. Yeah.
Yeah. And where are your younger siblings now? Where did they end up?
The four of us that stayed here, we grew up here and stayed here and served here until they got married. Okay. So I have 3 brothers that are married. Okay. And with babies and living in Tijuana. My sister just moved up to Seattle with her husband, and my niece, she's 5. So I miss them. They lived with me for like 4 years. And so, so I miss them. But I'm so happy for them. It was their first 4th of July parade yesterday, so they're sending me pictures, and that was really cute. And every time I see her, I remember her younger sister, and like, for my niece living here was such a paradigm, right? Such a big full circle transformation, because she was here because this is her home and she gets to, and like this is her family. This is her nana. She is like the princess of the mission, right? For her it's completely different. For her it's like, this is my home and this is my people, this are my kids, this is my school, and she has a mom and a dad, but she gets to be part of the community that's been built for her, not because there's a need, not because there's a tragedy, just because she's family. Yeah. And that to me just blows my mind, saying like, wow, that's so beautiful. And for my sister, it was a need. It was well, we don't have a mom, we don't have a dad, we don't have a family, like this is our family, and you know, we had to grow up here. But for her, it's not. For her, it's like look, this is where we grew up. She gets to run around and enjoy it, you know?
Yeah.
Such a big shift.
Yeah, that's really neat. So do you have any faith building moments where you're like, oh, this is God's hand in this. I see God is helping us through some of these things.
I think for me, the way I encountered God, you know, that God became real for me was like through the Bible. Yeah, the stories. We always had Sunday church and all the little stories. But there's a moment, I think when I was 12, probably just something about became real, you know, and like I got baptized and like, I went for it, I guess. I don't even know what that means. But something I started doing a whole lot more was just reading the Bible, you know, and something in there that was very comforting to me. And a few months later, my mom passed away, and so it was just like holding on to the word, you know. And I don't know that I understood all of it. The Bible is really complex, but you know, there was like good things in there. You know, I remember the story of Job and the Psalms, and you know, the words of Jesus, and it's just very, very comforting. So for me, in the hard seasons, like the word of God, you know, I think now recent, like the testimonies, just like feeding on the goodness of God and looking intentionally where how God has answered prayers, you know. And I can look back in my life and know, oh, God had me when he built this place. God had me when he, you know, even my mom passing, you know, just the goodness of people helping with that, and people loving on us, and you know, and just making sure that we were taken care of. And now all my siblings are all grown up and have kids, and when we get together, man, it's so good. I remember the faithfulness of God. So for me, it's intentionally looking for testimonies, to remind myself, you know, that we're not alone, that he's got us. And just remember, that's what we do the history now, just to remember, you know, like the goodness of God in our lives. And all through these years, this place has been here since 87, and man, he's so faithful, through everything he's done. The goodness of people, you know, people that would come and serve, and you know, and we were talking about it yesterday, like sometimes people feel like, you know, ministry is when you're out there, you know, praying for the sick, or you know, evangelizing in the streets. And the ministry really is just like you setting your life apart for him, to whatever he needs done. And sometimes, you know, doing cement is what is needed, because it's going to create a home. It's going to create, you know, a community, you know, and it's going to give a kid a hope and a dream and a vision for their life. And I think understanding that is really important. And so just knowing, you know, finding testimonies, and looking for God's goodness in the middle of it. I think also something that helped me a lot, the founder, he was such a man of faith. Like he always talked about faith, and he always talked about with God nothing is impossible. And so, and he was such a bulldozer as far as like, God called us, we're gonna go do this, you know. There is no question that it's gonna get done, because God's gonna come through. And I think seeing that model was like very important. So faith is a big part of who I am, and you know, just seeing that, and it's true, you know. Maybe at the time I didn't understand it, but now I see, oh man, it is true. With God, nothing is impossible. And the challenges, although they seem so big, you know, you don't rest in what you see, you rest in who he is. And he is the author and the finisher of our faith, right? It says it in Hebrew. And so, and that's why, you know, big message for me, hope and faith, you know. So when those two get lost for me, man, it gets hard. But I just have to find hope. And now that I'm helping lead this space, I intentionally look for the little successes, for the little things, like, you know, a kid said thank you, you know, a kid is finishing, you know, graduating the 6th grade, and he's been on our program since he was in 1st grade. I'm like, yay, you know, the teenagers finishing high school, you know, in the middle of this area, you know, because you see it and you're like, you know, and we have 20 kids in our high school right now, and they're going to graduate next month. And out of them, I believe 9 of them apply for college, and 9 of them are going into college in the fall. And that is amazing, you know.
Yeah,
and so I'm like, yay. And so looking for testimonies, looking for little success, you know, little success here and there, you know, a breakthrough in a kid, looking at a life, you know.
Yeah.
Looking at the whole process, not just the few steps. And I think for me that helps builds my encouragement. It's a good day, you know. You know, it's a good day. It was a bad night, but it was a good morning, you know. And yes, it was a tough week maybe on something, but if I weigh it and put all the good things that happen in the day, man, it's just it's so much better than the one thing that was hard, you know. So I am really good about looking for testimonies and encouragement. You know, I think that's important. Otherwise, it would be hard, because there's so much need, there's so much things going on all the time. But I just have to get encouraged and stay grounded. I'm like, God, you promised, God, you said, you know, your word says, you know. So I think those are the things: the word, worship, testimonies, and just finding success in the little things.
Like you mentioned with how you believe that the impossible is possible. Do you have like any experiences where you've seen that, where like this seems really impossible, and then suddenly you see like, oh, it happened?
Yeah. A few years back, I think we were trying to save on water or something. My leaders were going to Romania, my senior leaders, and so I was here, and something about, hey, we have to, you know, I think I'd probably administer water a little bit better, and trying to save money, and so we were having a hard time with having enough water for what we needed to do in the base. The city donates to us 50% of the water that we use, and then we have a well that we use that provides water, one of the original wells. And so we're trying to, you know, make it work and stuff. And if that doesn't happen, if we go over, or if the well is not producing enough water, then we would have to buy water, right? So I think one of my senior leaders said, hey, watch out for the water, and just, you know, not to buy water, but just be good stewards of the water, you know. And I'm like, oh yeah, I got it. And so one morning, somebody in my staff comes in and said, okay, we have a problem, we don't have water, you're gonna have to buy water. You need to call the water trucks and have them come in, we're not gonna make it. And I said, no, and he's like, what do you mean no? I go, no, we're not gonna do that, I'm not gonna buy water. And it was just because I remember my leader say, like, hey, just do it really well and try not to buy water, you know, something like that. He didn't say don't buy water, he said try not to. And to me, there was something saying, no, it's gonna be okay, like, and he's like, we don't have water. And I go, it's gonna be okay, like. And so we decided, well, let's shut everything off, so nobody's using water, and we'll turn it on at the end of the night. And so no laundry, no showers for the day, and, you know, we'll try to shower we'll try to shower at night. And so when I said that, you know, he wasn't very happy with me and just took off. And I said, oh no, like I need something, need a miracle to happen. And so I just went and I grabbed a couple of people. I'm like, I need you to come with me. And they walked with me to the well. And I'm like, I need you to come in here. And I need you to every hour come and pray and prophesy over this well. Because nothing was coming in. And they looked at me funny, like, you're kidding, right? I go, no, we're gonna pray. And so, I'm like, if you have like a flag or a shofar or something, come in and pray to this well. And so, like, you know, Colette came in and she's like, oh yeah, I can do that. And so she would come in every hour. And then I got another kid who's like super prophetic, and he likes to pray over things. And I go, I need you to come in here and pray to this, and I prayed to the well that the water would come out. And he's like, really? I was like, really, you know. And for me, even was like, really? And there was something in me saying, like, not really, you know, like you are meant to pray for these things, and God is going to provide. And And I would go in there and, every couple of hours and like nothing would come out. Nothing is happening. And the day is rolling down and nothing's happening. I'm getting more desperate. And it wasn't about not buying the water. It was about this thing about God, you promised that with you nothing is impossible. And so I believe that like you will restore this well. And I really need you to come through. There's this desperation. And so, I'm singing to the well, I got a river of life flowing out of me, and like, I come alive in the river, and I'm singing all songs about the river, and I'm like, commanding this well to provide water, I'm using the Bible, I'm using everything I can, and nothing is happening. And so I go to bed pretty defeated, and in the morning, the same person, they told me the day before, he sends me a text. And I go, oh, this is gonna be so bad. He's gonna tell me, see, I told you need to buy water, and I'm just feeling so defeated as a leader. Just feeling so defeated. Like, God, you're with the directors, and you did impossible things, and you're with my senior leaders, and they do impossible things. And now I'm stuck here, and I'm the leader, and no water. There's that moment of like, where's the faith? Where's the impossible? Yeah. And so I'm so defeated because it's been almost a full day and no water. And so he sends me this text, and I don't even want to look at it because I know. And so I finally said, just get over with. And so I open up my text, and it was like the same guy saying, hey, like here's your water. And it was a video of the well, and it has a little stream of water that it's coming out. I have it here, I can show you. It is so cool. And I just got so crazy. And it was, I was so happy for the water, but it was like, you're with me, it was that moment of like, I know God is with me. But it's one thing to have the faith of your leaders, you're the founder because God called them, and then your senior leaders because they're leading the ministry. But then when it's me, and it was just kind of God saying like, hey, I'm with you. And it was one of, it's an extreme one. But I have the video. That was so cool. And to this day, it still inspires me. And in the Old Testament, and it talks about Elijah, when Elijah goes to heaven, and Elijah now is the new leader. It's in Kings, and it talks about he strikes the water, and he cries out, where is the God of Elijah? And then he strikes the river, and the river opens up, and he's able to cross to the other side. And to me, it was kind of like that moment, like, where is the God of the director? Where is the God of, the impossible? Yeah. And he provided the water, and it hasn't been dried since. Like it's just so beautiful. And it's a well that's been, it's been serving us, It was the well that gave me water when I was a kid, and it's so cool. Yeah.
So symbolic.
So symbolic, right? Yeah. Oh man. That's an extreme one, but it's really important to me just for that, it was just like, it was that moment of like, this is how you're going to lead. Yeah. You're going to ask, and I will provide.
Oh, that's so beautiful. I love that. Well, is there anything that listeners can do for you or for this place that can help with?
Yeah, for sure. Pray pray for just safety, and I mean safety as far as like our walls and nothing harmful ever coming in. Kids to sleep at night. When new kids when they come in, it's they have nightmares of things that maybe they've gone through and things like that. So you can pray for our kids for sleep. That's always really important. Like prayer. Oh man, prayer keeps this place going for sure. Number one, always pray for us. The staff and rest, and and it's a beautiful place, and but I believe, I'm so honored that people often pray for us, and that's the first thing I always say, please pray for us, always, it's not like something's gone wrong, but just covering and protection and peace and joy, and it was just beyond this place, so prayer for sure. And then anything, from, you've been here for a few days now, and there's so much to be done. And so whether it's like finances or donations, we take it in and we use it. And so it's just a matter of how people can or want to get involved. Whether it's like school's coming up, in September. So if it's school supplies or material or for BBS or a summer program,
Yeah.
it's just a matter of how can people get involved.
A lot of different ways.
A lot of different ways. You can bring a group team down and serve for the week. You can come in the summertime and serve for the month. You can, send donations, mail it in, send clothing or tennis shoes or socks and underwear. Sometimes, people say, hey, what do you need? It's like,
always in socks.
Socks and underwear. Really, it's like, really? All the way from, sponsoring a kid or, some more on monthly commitment. But if it's donations, like, hey, send it in. If it's the beans, if it's the rice, it's oatmeal, pancake mix. Those things, there's no such thing as little, it's everything helps. And it goes for a great cause, and you see it every day.
Yeah, it's very good. Your work is so good, so important.
Yeah.
Awesome. I'll link your website too, so people can go in there and see where to donate or how to sponsor. And all
on our website, there's always sometimes like a list of things that we can donate, like when it comes to like, hey, school supply drive or Christmas drive or summer drive, something like that. So where there's a list of things that people can buy and donate or. Just be creative. I always tell people, be creative. There's, there's so many areas where you can plug in. It's just a matter of actually doing it.
So good. Okay, and then as we close, do you have any advice for people who are like, I don't know what to do with my life. I'm not sure how to find my own path. Like, what would you say to them?
I would encourage them to find a spot somewhere in their community, even. And find a spot where they can, maybe provide some volunteer hours and kind of get involved, Honestly, all it takes is to walk the city. If you walk your city, you will find places where you can make a difference, But if you're feeling like you would like to go somewhere, like come down and serve and, go to abroad if you wanted to and just take a trip, and allow yourself to hear and see how you can make a difference. But if it's home, there's just take a walk in the city and pay attention and see where your city is hurting and see what you can do to alleviate that pain, So just get involved. And sometimes it starts with a walk, starts with a simple, like, let's take a look under the hood, and you can make a difference. And so I would encourage to them, and mission trips do that. Yeah, mission trip just provides you with an opportunity to serve, and you do things you would never do at home.
Yeah.
And that's what it is. So I encourage you to go on a mission trip, go connect to anything community oriented in your area, and start there. It's a start. Just take a step somewhere.
Yeah.
Do something.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. You're so busy. I appreciate your time
Yeah.
and your wise words. That was awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hey, wasn't that so incredible? She's so inspiring, such a inspired woman. I hope you enjoyed that. If you want to donate or help out or volunteer here, their website is themissioninc.org. They also have a really inspiring Instagram page called The Mission Org. So if you go there, you'll see really sweet videos of the things that they're doing. That's one of the reasons I wanted to bring my family here, because we want to create something like this, and I wanted everyone to see. Actually, I didn't realize that that's part of the reason I wanted to bring my family here. But as we've been here, I'm like, that's part of the reason we're here, is we needed to have a common shared vision of what could be, what could happen when people are willing to just give their little bit and watch it grow. These guys have been doing this for 35 years, and the impact they have is so inspiring to see. And so that's why I think one of the reasons that we're here, and also, to get ideas, to be inspired, to meet the people, and it's been really good. But and if you would like to follow us, then you can check out our website. And just kind of check out our story after we leave here. We're going to be going to another orphanage for a few weeks, and then we're going to head out to our land and hope we just get started. Right now it's just, we have a little foundation for our house that's almost done. So we'll see where we're at when we get done with this, and we can follow the story and help us out, come volunteer also, or donate so we can get going on the structure, the infrastructure, all the things we need to get done. We would love for you to be involved and partner with us. So our website is findyourpathmission.org, and there's different ways that you can get involved there. So that's it for now, and we will talk to you soon.